What shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us?
Speak Rock, that's the team that I'm with. Speak Rock, don't it make a lot of sense? Speak Rock, yeah, we speak to each other. Hey, young man, be a brother to another, Put the other things aside, throw away the fakeness. All my brothers got the key to achieve greatness. Let nobody bring you down when you tryna reach the top. Let them know what you represent, tell them speak rock. Let's make a change for the best. Let your voice be heard, let your words be expressed. Brothers and sisters, set a goal to the top. If anybody got your back, let them know it's speak rock.
Hey, yo, Guap, that was dope. Hey, just gotta keep telling them what it is out here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you already know, man.
Hey, we doing this one for the D. What up, though?
What up, though?
What up, though, brothers and sisters? It is your brother, Speak Rock. I am so glad to be with you on this Sunday evening. It is 5 o'clock, and here we are. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to get it in. One of the things I want to talk to y'all about is the power of speak. I want to talk to you about your voice, about the voice that you have when you speak up, when you see any type of injustice in this world. I don't care if it's injustice with you. I don't care if it's injustice with your family. I don't care if it's injustice with the culture. I don't care if it's injustice anywhere on this planet. You have the right, the God-given right, to speak up at any given time when you see something wrong going on. As a matter of fact, it doesn't even have to be something wrong going on. It's just when you feel your voice needs to be heard to add value to any conversation. When you want to make something better, you use the voice that has been given to you to speak on situations and make them become better. Not only do you speak on situations to make them become better, but you speak on things for them to stay better. If you want things to go right in your household, to go right in your life, you got to wake up every morning with something positive on your mouth to speak life into any situation that you're going through. Let me tell you something about me. Since I can remember, I've been a young man I'm going to speak up. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to speak out. I'm going to talk about whatever it is that I feel compelled to talk about. I'm going to tell you, in a lot of times, in a lot of ways, it is not the most popular thing. I remember just being a young boy and you coming up with your friends, and there were situations. Now, the one thing with young people want to be liked. They want to have friends. They want to hang out. But for me, I always knew I wasn't going to sell myself out to have friends just to stay silent. I couldn't do it. If there was a situation, it could be with my best friend, against somebody else. I had to speak what I felt what was right. And even as a young boy, I understood, like, man, this doesn't put you in a good situation. This doesn't, put you in a good position with your friend or anybody that was on the block. But I couldn't help it. I'm going to speak up. I refuse to stay silent and not say what was right. Even in the face of adversity. If there's a situation where, and I know many of you been in it, so I'm not the only one. Think back to your job. Think back to any social club that you're part of. Think back to in church. You could have been working or planning on something, and say the pastor says, hey, look, this is what we want to do, and I want to do this, go a certain direction. And here you are. You say, I can see that. I can understand, but I think there's an error in that. Then everybody just give you the, the side eye, start looking at you cockeyed and crazy because you said something to the contrary of what, instead of just going along, you had something different to say. Well, absolutely. Say what you have to say. Or you're at work and your supervisor is saying, hey, look, we're going to do X, Y, Z. What do you all think? Now, your supervisor clearly asked everybody, what do you think? Everybody to get along and just to go along won't say anything. But you decided to add some value to the conversation, to be productive with your words and speak out. Especially if it was something stupid that your supervisor came up with. But everybody, because they don't want any problems, they just said, we're not going to say nothing. We're just going to go along with it and just do whatever we're told. Not you, though. And you know what? Not me. If I saw something stupid, it didn't make any sense, or maybe it wasn't stupid, it just needed some revamping. It needed another fresh idea. It needed somebody seeing it from a different set of lenses. That person is you. I'm telling you, there's nothing worse than somebody who could have added value to a situation but refused to do so because they were scared. Fear has no place for a person who has a spirit of boldness and is willing to speak up. I believe, now this is just me, I'm going to go a little different direction right now with this. I believe a lot of times, especially in the African American community, especially with black folk, I feel a lot of reasons why we go through the turmoil, the ridicule, the belittling, the egregious actions that get taken place towards us. I feel a lot of reason why we go through what we go through, the pain, the heartache, the hardship, is because we refuse to speak up, especially with a unified voice. We refuse to speak up. A lot of times, the only time we speak up, as far as African Americans go, we speak up because it has something to do with us directly. I can't stand that. I'm sorry. I just got to let it hang out. I've never been that way. I don't care if it's in America. I don't care if it's in my city. I don't care if it's in my state. I don't care if it's in this country. I don't care if it's another country. I don't care if it's on the moon. If there's an injustice that's happening to black folk, I feel compelled. It is my obligation to speak out and speak out against the atrocities that's plaguing us as a people. How in the world can we expect change if we don't speak out? Case in point, we're getting ready to celebrate Martin Luther King holiday. We're getting ready to remember the great man, Martin Luther King, the Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, I don't know what you all's recollection or thought is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Martin Luther King, but the first thing that comes to my mind is this is a man that gave his life for black folk and all folk because simply he spoke out. He spoke out against systems that were in place to keep people down. Martin Luther King didn't die because he organized. Martin Luther King wasn't murdered and assassinated because he was the face of the civil rights movement. That's because if that was the case, the Queen herself, Miss, I'm not giving up my seat for a white man on this bus, Rosa Parks. If that was the case, she would have met the same fate as Martin Luther King, but she didn't. Now, let me just make sure I'm being very clear. Rosa Parks, very influential, very necessary to the movement, but the fact of the matter is, she was not the main voice that spoke out on situations that changed and that was galvanizing the nation, coming against the injustices of the African American. It was Martin Luther King in the civil rights movement who was the face, who was the voice that spoke out. Once again, not just for black folk, but for all sorts of folk who was going through a terrible time through the systematic oppression, white supremacy during that era. And when I think about Martin Luther King, I think about a man. That man had babies, y'all. He had a wife, a family, friends. And not for nothing, he had a congregation. This man was a pastor. He had a church that he was running. But because his words, because he was not afraid, because he knew his purpose, because he was convicted to speak out against that which was wrong, he was murdered. Now, I don't know about you. He's a standard. I'll give you another example. Let's look at Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, by all account, he was crucified because of what he was saying. Also because of what he was doing. Please don't get me confused. I'm not saying it's all about just talk. What I'm saying is, along with talk, there is action. But I'm here to tell you, action was just part of it. Now, Jesus, all the way up into the cross, he was speaking. People wanted to murder Jesus. Simply, now watch this, his own people wanted to murder him based on some of the things he was saying. Oh, so you're the son of God, or so you think you're God. You're the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. They had a problem with that. But Jesus is coming, speaking the gospel, telling the truth, and people had a problem with him because of it. But because of Jesus' words, which was full of power, he changed situations around him. Now that, to me, for me, that is the gold standard. That is the standard. That is the model. That is the example that I follow. Now, I'm not look, I've said before, you can check my social medias. I've said before, we need everybody in the African American community. Now I'm speaking just on African Americans right now. This can apply to all communities. But for the African American community, when we speak out, we also need other people doing other things. I get it. We need people that pray. We need people in the legal system. We need business owners. We need great economic minds. We need all of that. We need people who are just gonna sit still and let their light shine and let their light be the example to the world. I get it. But to do all of those things and to not have a voice, as far as I'm concerned, is null and void. You show me one example of an action that any person on the face of the earth, unless they just couldn't talk, unless they couldn't speak, but then again, they know sign language. Even if they have some type of behavioral issue, guess what? They still got emotions and feelings. They can communicate in their own way. They can speak in other ways. But you show me or tell me anybody that has done any action without speaking words to go along with those actions. I don't know of anybody. I'm here to tell you. Let me give y'all an example of a situation that happened to me, and it blew my mind. I remember I was at a job, and me being who I am, Look, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I've never been a cat's meow for everybody. So that's why I don't even worry about not being liked, not being anyone's favorite. That's none of my concern. I've never been everybody's cup of tea. I'm okay with it. I understand. Everybody didn't like Jesus, so I'm not gonna put myself in a fool's world and believe everybody's gonna like me. I refuse to believe that. I was at my job, and bottom line, there was just a coup going. There was just I swear, I think everybody that was on the team that I was on just had something against me. I'm not making this up. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. I went through this. This is my own example. They just had a problem with me. Okay. And me being me, I'm like, that's not a me problem. That's a you problem. That's between you, a bottle of medication, a therapist, and your God. I have nothing to do with that. Now, if you want to talk to me, hey, we can talk. We can reason like adults and we can get along. But they chose not to go that route. You know what? I drew the line in the sand, took my stand. Hey, I'm here for you whenever you want. But if you want to stay on that other side of the line, have at it. So these guys figured they just wanted to have a little session and they want to talk about me and how I am. All right, fine. Funny thing happened to me. I didn't look for anybody to come to be my savior or rescue me that day. I wasn't looking for it. I mean, I was holding my own. I was good. Whatever they were saying, I'm just being honest, because they wasn't talking to me, trying to reason with me. Because they wasn't doing that, it wasn't sticking with me. In one ear and out the other. I was paying it no attention. Until a young man that I was supervising, he stood up. White boy. Stood up. Said, hey, I don't know what y'all talking about. Everything that y'all saying about this man right here, talking about me. He's like, hey, none of it's true. I don't see what you're saying. I don't even understand where you're coming from. Now understand something. This young man, by all account, he was part of the crew. He was liked. They understood him. They appreciated him. They valued him. He was okay with the majority. This young man stood up and spoke out against the majority. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? He took upon him an unpopular stance by saying, you know what? This black dude right here, I'm gonna ride with him. Because I don't get what y'all saying. Matter of fact, not that I don't even get it. I flat out don't agree. This man is all right with me. And if y'all don't, if that's a problem with y'all, oh well. I looked at that white boy. I was like, boy, that's what for me, it wasn't the fact that he took up for me. It wasn't the fact that he stood up for me. It was the fact that he stood, that he opened his mouth and he spoke truth to power, and he had my back with his words. He didn't wait until, the little session was over with, and then he decided to come to me and say, hey man, you know I had your back in there, right? I didn't say nothing, so, but I was thinking, I was praying on the inside. I started to lay prostrate and just, pray to God to move on this situation. And no, he didn't do none of that. Maybe he did pray, I don't know, maybe in his mind. But the fact of the matter is that he opened his mouth and he spoke. Now, I'm not picking fun, or I'm not making light of prayer or other means of handling a situation versus speaking. I'm not doing that. I'm all for prayer. I'm all for fervent prayer. I believe you should pray. Matter of fact, I know you should pray. Absolutely. But I also believe, because when you pray, you're speaking, aren't you? You're speaking to God, aren't you? Oh, okay. So the same way you speak to God, I would challenge you to scrub your Bible, scrub the Quran, scrub whatever religious, spiritual literature that you have to, and I guarantee you're going to see all types of folk, all sorts of characters that opened their mouth and they spoke. So for me, I can't understand why we don't speak out enough. I can't understand why we don't stand together in unison and we come against systematic oppression in the world that we live in today. Now, I get it. In this era of social media, hey, we got them Twitter fingers. Hey, it's not a game. we got Facebook. You know, we can do a meme like nobody's business on Instagram. I get it. But all of that means nothing if we don't let our voices be heard verbally. We have to go to the places where there are issues and we have to speak, i.e., your city councilman or woman. Go to them and let them know how you feel consistently. We have to let all these elected officials that petition your vote, that come to you and like, hey, I want your vote, I'm going to do this. Hold them jokers accountable. Put their feet to the fire and you talk to them and you speak to them. Get a captive audience, one-on-one or with the audience, however you got to do it. Let your voice be heard. And take action along with the voice. It's amazing to me how these elected officials, they just I think they know that it takes time to speak. It takes an effort to speak. Here's something that's just come to my mind right now. Here's something that's come to my mind. There's a passage in the Bible where God is telling Moses to say, hey, look, I need you to go do this. Go talk to Pharaoh. Let my people go. Go do all of these things. And Moses, out of all that he knew that God was, Moses was still hung up on himself about what he couldn't do and what Pharaoh wasn't going to do, so forth and so forth. So if you read the text, it talks about Moses having a speech impediment. And God was like, yeah, I got you. I understand that. Got it. Here go your brother Aaron. He can speak pretty well. Take Aaron with you. Go and handle that. Go and do what I said go do. So in other words, God was like, I got business to do, and I'm trying to get it done through you. I'm going to say that again. It's because a lot of y'all, believe it or not, for a certain situation, for a certain issue in your neighborhood, in your community, in your state, in this nation, you are the Moses for that situation. And you're making excuses to God about why you cannot speak up and why you're not the right person to speak. And God is telling you, look, I've equipped you. I've given you what you need so you can speak. Because there's a situation that I'm trying to handle. There's something I'm trying to deliver you from. Not just only you, your family, your people, the culture, but you won't open your mouth. You won't use the tools that I've given you to go speak. Yeah, it might be tight, but it's right. That's you. So let me say this. Think about what I just said before you look at somebody, you say, man, they just talking too much. They doing too much. Maybe they doing too much because they are working to get folk delivered. I know one of the people, and I'm going to say this, in the African American community, some of the people that we murder them, we kill them with our words. We bash them, we downgrade them. And I've looked at these people and I'm saying, man, these people have been staples, pillars in the African American community. They are organized, but you know what? Along with their organization and their activity, they make sure that they are able and ready to speak at any moment. And the sad thing is they get ridiculed from it. I'm just going to throw a couple of names out there. I'm looking at Jesse Jackson. I've seen many jokes about Jesse Jackson. But you know what? Jesse Jackson been here. And he been standing for a long time. Look, we can get into, well, he ain't right and he did this and did. Hey, don't throw no rocks in a glass house. I would question you, what are you doing for the culture? What is your contribution for the culture? Al Sharpton, that's another one. We kill this man. But this man is ready at a moment's notice because he understands the mission at hand. Louis Farrakhan, ready to speak on our behalf at all times. I get it. Religious differences, I get it. But these are people that are championing causes for us. They may not be perfect, I get it, but neither are you and I. There is power in your words. There is power in speaking against things that's trying to hold us back. And I just believe. I had a friend of mine tell me one time, he was like, man, you're hopeless. Your faith, you just believe the best in our people, that we're going to do great things and that we're going to make it out of our situation. You know what? I do. We got some issues that anger me, that makes me just, I don't understand why we act the way we act. I don't understand why we tear each other down. But for every time I have one of those moments, I can always either look outside my door, I can go on my social media, I can look at the news, and I see somebody in our culture that's doing a great work. Be it if it's a religious leader, be it if it's a politician, be it if it's just a community member, be it if it's my own kids, somebody's doing a great work. So I have faith. I believe in us that we can do it. But what we're going to need to do, people, brothers and sisters, what we're going to need to do, I'm going to need you to search your heart and be able to speak truth to power. Now, I don't want that just to be a cliche. I don't want that just to be something that we say. But I'm going to tell you, just for me, every day that I wake up is a moment for me to speak truth to power. Me being a husband, me being a black man in the community, me being a father, every day I got a mission. I got people that are looking at me and depending on me on what I'm going to do and what I'm going to say. Hanging on my every word. And I'm just foolish enough to believe that not just only in my own household, I believe that the words that I speak, they have value, they have power in my own community. I believe that. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't be talking the way I'm talking right now, or I wouldn't be on this live stream the way I am right now. It's not just only me, people. Once again, it's you. You have something to say in only the way that you can say it. God Almighty himself have given you a voice, and he has given you a way to be able to speak and reach people and to change the culture and the environment that we're in. I truly believe that. And I want you to believe it. So look, I said all that to say, understand the power of speaking. Understand the power in your words. You can speak life. You can speak prosperity. You can speak healing. You can speak abundance. You can speak longevity in your situation, in your life, in your children's life, in your spouse's life, in your community's life, in your neighborhood's life, in your people's life. You can do it. You don't have to be an entertainer. You don't have to be a rapper or a singer. You don't have to be a poet. You don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be a famous pop culture figure. You are who you are. And you're somebody with a voice that's going to speak up and speak out, and you're going to change the atmosphere of wherever you go. Hey, look, this your brother Speak Rock. It's been a blessing. Hey, look, I want y'all to have a great, awesome weekend, or week, I should say, and just enjoy yourself. Y'all stay blessed. Peace and blessings. I'm out.